So the next speaker is Alberto Gonzalez, and Alberto runs a business called Just on Purpose. And there's a fantastic, of course, title to this next presentation, which is How to Live Before You Die, and in brackets, and make meaningful work a part of life. So it's this what we're really looking at here is how do you combine your passion, combine that motivation, that meaning for life into the work that you do. So spend a bit of time thinking about you, what you want to achieve in life, and really have a bit of fun with Alberto. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Natal. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yes.
Loud and
clear. Well, yeah. Hi everyone. I don't see you, but I feel you. I feel the energy, and it's great to be here and have the opportunity to share a couple of stuff with you, things that I normally do with companies. My name is Alberto Gonzalez, as Natal said, and I'm the founder of Just on Purpose, and I help organizations, leaders, and teams uncover their purpose, align it, and maximize results. So actually to inspire people to find more meaning in what they do every single day and feel more engaged and connected with the company and provide better results. And in the end, what's I think most important to many of us is to be as happy as possible, as fulfilled as possible with what we do. So I mean to have to do this as interactive as possible, although it is not the same as being with you in a physical room. But I'll do my best. I will ask you a couple of questions. There is maybe a bit of a delay until we get the answers, and Natal will share with us. But I encourage you, and I ask you if you can. To just share your thoughts in the chat, send them to us, and I'm sure that will be very inspiring for everyone here in the session. So let's I'm gonna start with this, and this is the first question I have for you. Because we talk about purpose, and actually yesterday and the day before in Barcelona, I was very pleased to see that so many speakers, talked about purpose from companies from Canaf, from Unilever, HP, and some others. They actually mentioned purpose in their presentation and how important that was to actually create better results. But so I'm not going to share all these numbers, but it is a big word for many people, purpose, right? And sometimes it feels like very, very difficult to have a purpose. The question is, do you have a purpose? If you do, just say yes in the chat. And if you want to type it there, what your purpose is, if you can articulate it in one sentence, just share it with us as well. The reality, and while we are waiting for those answers, is that I don't expect many of you to have a clear purpose that you can just share immediately with us. And I do this all the time with a lot of people, and there is always a minority, only a few people in the room that actually have a clear purpose. Most people think about this quite regularly, oftentimes, sometimes while going to work or doing something else, walking in nature, and they think about maybe not just the word purpose, but what I want to do with my life, what's my next steps, do I feel good at work, what I'm missing, all these things, but actually they cannot put their purpose into words. And I don't know, Natalie, if we have some answers there.
We do. We have a couple of yeses coming through. So we have a yes from Paulina and a yes from Roxana, and I put a yes in there as well.
Okay. What's your purpose, Natal? You want to share your purpose, Natal, with us?
Sure. My purpose is to help my HR profession continuously grow and develop, and then also to live in the moment as much as possible, which is always, we've actually got a couple of other purposes coming through, which is nice. Asaya is, I think there's often a mix up between purpose, meaning, and mission. So that's something that you'll probably cover. And then Patrick says, my purpose develop and guide my employees on their journey, which is really great. And Laura is, purpose is to never stop learning. And Rita is to bring out the best in myself and others and thrive in my life in general. So there you go.
Wow, you know, and what happens when you hear all these things, right? You feel inspired, right? It is actually, you know, it's great. But the reality is only we got a couple, maybe we wait a bit more, we may get a couple of more, but not so many, right? The reality is that most of the people live their lives and without a purpose. One thing I want to say, you know, I do work on purpose, but you don't need a purpose. You don't need to have a purpose and think about it to live your life, and maybe you are super happy and fulfilled with what you do. But what I'm gonna try to share today is that actually, if you do have clarity on what you want to do and why, you have a better chance to be happier and fulfilled with what you do. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna be something that's similar to what I, you know, actually do with the client. So I'm not gonna talk about, you know, how important purpose is and you know, numbers about that. I do have those. If you want, you just get in touch and I'll share. But today is gonna, my purpose today is to add some value to you, so that you take away something that, you know, helps you in one way or another in the future. So, and you know, probably many of you are familiar with this number. Actually, this is from HRcoreLAB and the latest global state of work, or I don't know exactly the name, but you know, it is a fantastic report, and basically says that only 13% of employees are engaged. And you know, that's when you look at this number, it's really sad, right? And it's actually improved. This is in Europe, by the way. If we take the global one, it's about 23% and actually grew from last year to this year. But if we look at this number, 13% of European employees are engaged. This is basically dramatic, right? So this means that basically 87% of people get up in the morning, go to work, and they don't feel engaged there. And that's pretty sad because they are living their lives in a way that, you know, they're probably not so happy because, you know, we spend a lot of time at work, right? 1/3 of our lives, they say, you know, it is not good to not to be engaged. So how can we improve that? And I believe that we can improve that by finding more meaning in what we do, and that aligns with our purpose. And I will try to answer that question as well. I think the mission is more what we do, and the purpose is why we do it. That's maybe for a quick answer, but we will get into that. So I'm going to ask you the next question. And the next question is this one. When you were young, and you know, you're probably very young still, but when you were like 8 years old, 6 years old, and people ask you this question, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you have in mind? Just think about it. I'm gonna give you just a few seconds to think about what do you want to be when you grow up? What comes to your mind stronger? And please share it with us in the chat, and we will read some answers. What did you want to be when you grew up? Maybe we have some policemen, firemen, dancers, artists, professional football players. Okay, so Natal, I don't know if we have some answers in the chat already. What did you want to be when you grew up, Natal?
Well, I was going to be a gymnast, and even change my name to from Natal Dank to Natalia Dankovic to make sure that it sounded right. But there's some really great ones coming through. So Paulina says a flight attendant, which is great. We've got a veterinarian to help animals from ASA. We've had Maria's wanted to be an actress. Dunya wanted to be a teacher or a stock market broker. So, you know, either or. Another teacher from Magdalena, Lorenzo, of course, a Formula One driver, and Anka wanted to be a doctor.
Okay, very good, very good. So I asked this question in many sessions, and the thing is, then you need to think about what you now, and I guess my guess is that you are all working in different roles, probably in HR. And what's the relationship? Do you find any link between what you wanted to be when you grew up and what you are doing today? And in the most cases, if you think about it, if you reflect, you will find a link, and that tells you more about who you are as a person, and that's already a hint to get more clarity on your purpose. So I'm assuming that everyone is doing okay in the session. Hopefully, I'm gonna bring some bad news in the next one, which and these are the bad news, and this is my most famous slide ever. Sorry to bring it to you like that, but and hopefully nobody dies here in the workshop. Nobody did so far, so that's good. Keep it that way and live many years. But the reality is that at some point we are not going to be here anymore. And when you go back to the 13% of engagement in the workplace, yeah, it tends. We tend to think that our time here is unlimited, right? And that's not the truth. So we need to take and get the most out of this life we are living today. And so basically, I'm going to share with you this or a couple of things that inspire me to do what I do, but to help people to find more meaning actually in what I did, but also to do what I do and follow my purpose. And this represents a 90-year human life in weeks. So actually, every little square you see there is 1 week of your life if you make it to 90. If you live less or longer, well, you have more or less. But this is it. We don't have more than this, and it really fits in a very small laptop screen. So if you are in the 30s, and we can go to the next slide, then to the next thing, yeah. This is what you consume already, and that's gone, and that's not coming back, and you cannot do anything about it. But it seems okay. You still have quite some weeks, right? But if you go to the next one, and we click once more, this is where I am. This is 46 years old. That's my age, and when I look at this, I think, well, I start speaking French or something. But this is gone. This is really unbelievable. It goes very fast, and when I look at this, it helps me to basically decide and focus on what I really want to do this week, and one of the things I really wanted to do, and I try to do everything I do on purpose, is to be here and try to give some inspiration to you. So one of the things that inspired me throughout the years, and it's in the next slide, is a study from an Australian nurse called Bronnie Ware. She wrote a brilliant, beautiful book called The Top 5 Regrets of Dying. And, she was nursing people at home, terminally ill people who were going to die in a matter of weeks or in a couple of months. And while she was, with them, they shared their biggest regrets with her. And these are the biggest regrets. And I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Hadn't worked so hard, expressed my feelings, stayed in touch with my friends, let myself be happier. Nobody said, I wish I had sent that report on time, or, taken that role as a manager at that company. No, everything that people regretted when facing death was about doing what you really wanted to do, staying true to yourself, love, and relationships. So it got me thinking, and that also helped me to make better choices in my life and find more meaning in what I did. My story is 20 years of of work selling in sales and sales leadership roles at different companies, 11 years in technology, some of them in HR technology. But I never liked sales, or truly liked sales. I liked some components of selling, mostly the human component, like giving something that was valuable for the customer. But, I was successful for everyone else, but actually I felt unfulfilled. And I thought, what else can I do that is not selling? And it was very difficult, 20 years doing this. The thing is that I only realized a few years ago, when I started my business, that unconsciously, back then I didn't think about purpose at all. I didn't even know the word, but unconsciously, at every job I ever had, I was finding my purpose and connecting it with what I was doing. Even though, like, for example, my first job after university was selling encyclopedias door to door. I hated that job. It's the worst professional experience of my life, but I appreciate it a lot because it really changed me. But I did that for 1 year. And the only reason I stayed for 1 year and I was successful selling books door to door was because, everyone was saying, Alberto is selling books. And what I was telling myself every single morning when I had to ring these bells and knock these doors, which was terrible, I was telling myself, I don't sell books. I provide a safe platform for kids to learn, to grow, to develop, and to do the homework. And that's what I told myself, maybe not every morning, but almost every morning. And that helped me connect my job, which was really, terrible, with something that was valuable for me or to me, but also what I believed to others. So I think everyone can do the same, no matter what you do. You can always find about, or think about the value you bring to others, and that will help you to be more engaged and happier with what you do. And we can go to the next slide, please. And the next slide is an exercise. Yeah, and I'm happy to share this with you. At the conference yesterday, we had some physical ones, but if you want, well, I'll send it in a PDF and you can get it. And we can go to the next one. There are different questions in this exercise. We are going to cover a couple of them, and then you can complete it on your own. And if you want to reach out to me for questions or whatever, let me know. And this is the second question. If you knew you couldn't fail, what could you start doing today? If you knew you couldn't fail, what could you start doing today? Think about it and write it down somewhere. And maybe if you want, you can just share it in the chat as well if you have it clear. It is a bit more difficult question than the previous one, but think about it. And if you have an answer, put it in the chat. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you start doing today? And I asked these questions to thousands of people in the last 5 years, and most of the answers, sometimes I get this answer, and I tell the Formula One driver. So okay, that's good. It's a bit more maybe challenging to do it if you are especially quite old and you don't have the resources. But most of the answers I get are like, I will learn a new language, or I would start to play piano, or I would, start dancing again, or, these kind of things, or I will start my business. And you know what? Those things seem very, very challenging, difficult for that person. But when you actually share this with people around the room, even if they don't know you, they say, why not? People start businesses all the time. People take piano lessons, or go to classes to learn a new language. So why you cannot do it? You can do it if you want. It's more about the execution rather than just the fear of not failing or not doing it. So we can go to the next slide, and I'm going to share quickly a piece of research that inspired me as well, and I hope it will inspire you. And that's called the Blue Zones research. And
just before you go on, Alberto,
yeah,
we do have a couple of people sharing, if you want me to share that with
Yeah,
you?
sure.
So Nina would like to have and run her own camping site. So actual kind of camping, which is, and lots of people are loving that one. And
Yeah.
then Mikhail would open a carpentry workshop. So some very interesting examples there. Also, a bit of a shout out. Asaya thought the exercise you did earlier was just a really useful one for coaching. So imagine you are on your deathbed and what do you think you would regret not having done? And then also suggest that if deathbed was a bit too serious or severe in a workplace, maybe you could say when you retire, that kind of thing. So yeah, so there you go.
But that's the thing, in the end, it is what it is. You can make it up. But yeah, yeah, it is like that. A good friend of mine, the best manager I ever had, and this is a bit sad, but he died a few months ago. He was super successful, chief revenue officer by different companies, software companies, a brilliant guy, fit. He didn't drink, no smoking, no super fit. He was 46. He was my age, and he was sitting on the couch with his wife, and suddenly passed away. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen to any of us. But yeah, I hope that he actually spent enough time with his family, and because he cannot do it anymore. And that's what you don't need to. Most people start to think about purpose and all these things when they have, like, a slap in the face, like you get cancer or whatever, and then you change your life, or you want to start doing something that you actually care about. But you don't have to wait for that. You can find more meaning exactly where you are, and take steps to even do more stuff that you love doing. And by the way, you cannot love or do everything that you love all the time. Even I'm doing what I love, but there are things that I need to do for work that I don't like. But because the majority I do love, that helps me actually do the stuff that I don't like in a better way. So, but yeah, thank you for sharing. And what I was talking about now is the blue zones. It's a research, many of you probably know it, and this was to see where in the world people live the longest and why. And they found these spots there. They added another one later, but these were the original first blue zones. The proportion of centenarians 90 plus years old was much higher than anywhere else in the world. So they went to all these places, and they found out that they had common habits, and they also thought, it's not that they live longer, but they also healthier. They have less cancer diseases, diabetes, all this stuff. And they, if we go to the next slide, please, they found what they call the Power 9, which are 9 habits of the people who live the longest in the world. A sense of community. They never retired. They always had a role to support each other. They shared values, right values. They put family first. Drank a bit of alcohol every day, but don't get too excited. So just a little bit. Downshifting. They walk in nature. They did gardening activities that help them release or reduce their stress levels. And they all had a clear purpose. So if you ask these people, what's your purpose? All of them had an answer for you immediately ready. Why? Because they had it in mind, and that helped them make the small choices every single day. And there's one word, and this word came from Okinawa, one of the blue zones, and most of you will know this one, ikigai. It's commonly translated in the next slide as the reason why you wake up in the morning. Iki comes from life, and gai means worth. So it's kind of like make your life worth living. And actually, if you Google this, you will see a diagram that we have in the next slide. And with the ikigai thing as the middle point of what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you get paid for. This is not actually the ikigai diagram. It was the purpose diagram, and someone replaced the word in the middle. You can click another one to the next slide. And nobody in Japan has this on the wall, and you don't have to get paid to actually find or have or live your ikigai. Purpose is a combination of a sense of direction. Where do we want to go and why? And actually not forgetting what we already have, which is in the next slide. And that's the next question to you. What are you grateful for? And if we go to the next slide, yes. And think about it, write it down. We don't have much time to go through the answers, but if you think about the first 5 things that come to your mind, I'm pretty sure it will be similar to what's coming now. If you click to the next, go to the next slide. And I asked this question to thousands of people, and no matter whom I asking, everyone has the same answers. You know, coffee is there sometimes, it's important, but it's health, family, friends, relationships, opportunities, freedom. You know, nobody says my 2 cars in the garage, my second house out at the beach, or whatever. All we think when we think about this question is what's most important to us, and these are these things. But when you see how people live their lives, they spend most of the time living or chasing things that are not here, you know. So if we go to the next one, and we are almost finishing. This is an exercise. We are gonna do it quickly, but this is something that you could do with your people as well, and it's called alternative role. So everyone in your company has a role. You have a role, and that's what it says on the contract, right? And that's the official role. But if you think about it, you do much more than that. And that's what we call the alternative role. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then we are going to go one by one, clicking a bit quickly because, you know, we don't have much time to answer. But one person I was working with, she said, you know, my alternative role is the goddess of greetings. And this person, the official role of this person was, you click again, receptionist. Next one is make it happen guy. And this was the alternative role of a person who was actually the, clicking again, head of IT. There are 2 more to go. Chief cheerleader. And this was the CEO. And last but not least, facilitator of people's growth. So everyone's always thinks that this is HR, but actually this was a finance director at KPMG who said that. You know, the thing is, if you do this with your people, if you think about your own role, that connects you more with the value you want to bring to others with the work you do every day. And that gives you a more sense of meaning in what you do, you know, and the impact you want to make. And if you know what impact you want to make, you can take small steps into a direction that will help you make a bigger and more often impact on what you really care about. So a last question to you, and that's more for you to reflect, is in the next slide, and that's what's your purpose? Hopefully you will uncover yours. You don't have to. If you need help, let me know. But that's, I hope that you got a bit of insights on how to do it. And if you want the exercise, let me know, and we will share it. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alberto. So we'll try and quickly get this question in. So we've had a discussion between some people on chat. So Hans says he recognizes the importance of purpose, but struggles with why this is such a big question today and in today's world compared to perhaps in the past, say 50 years ago. Do you have any ideas on that? And Asaya has actually replied to Hans and says, well, it's mostly due to the shift in how work is perceived nowadays. So great to hear your kind of thoughts on why is purpose such a kind of critical topic at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, the pandemic helped, and that was what I mentioned before, you know, a slap on the face, a challenging situation, then everyone started to think more about purpose. That's one thing. I think everyone thinks about this, but most people don't do anything about this, and that's the main difference. And I was talking yesterday to someone at the conference as well. People in very, you know, poor countries in Africa, for example, people that they don't have anything. Or not much, you know, resources and food, and actually they need to survive every day. That's their purpose, you know. And this person was saying, yeah, but is purpose a luxury thing? No, not really. Like, it's very, I'm trying to simplify things, to make things simple. People think that this is a very big thing, but actually we say we do things on purpose. We do things for a reason. It's basically understanding why you do the things you do and what you actually want to do. And then if you know what you want to do and why you want to do it, then again, you can take that direction and do more of that, and that will help you to be happier and more fulfilled.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Alberto. You've actually generated quite a lot of discussion on the chat, so you can jump over there and see what everyone thinks about that topic. Lots of kind of different views. Fabulous to see you again. Enjoy your time in the village that you're in the mountains of Spain, and thanks again for a great talk.
Thank you very much, everyone, and